Recording in progress.
Good evening, and welcome to this meeting of the Old Kings Highway Committee of the Town of Yarmouth, which is being held in accordance with Chapter 470 of the Acts of 1973 as amended at 7:15 p.m. on Monday, May 12th, 2025 at the Yarmouth Town Hall Hearing Room located at 1146 Route 28 South Yarmouth. Moreover, pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, considering certain COVID-19 measures, this meeting is being run in hybrid mode, which, for those of you who have not heard me talk about this before, means live participation, and likely there will be some Zoom participation as well. 8 new applications for a certificate of appropriateness, 1 tabled certificate of demolition, and 3 tabled certificate of appropriatenesses will be heard this evening in the order listed on the agenda. Please be reminded that our committee's main purpose is to review items for appropriateness and setting, and it is the responsibility of the applicant to comply with the regulations of other town boards and departments, including building, conservation, engineering, health, zoning, and the sign inspector. You should know that there is a 10 calendar day appeal period starting once a decision is filed with the town clerk. Any person aggrieved by our decision tonight can appeal to the Regional Commission of the Old Kings Highway Historic District. Our office administrator, Lisa Sherman, will be happy to answer any questions you may have regarding this process. So as some of you know, but for those who don't, our process here is to call the applications in order as listed on the agenda, have the applicant and/or the applicant's representatives come before us, sit at the table, and speak.
Can you hear me? It's Tom Moran.
Yes, we're not ready for you yet.
Okay.
Thank you. As I was saying, come before us, sit at the table, speak into the microphone, identify yourself or yourselves, and state your case without interruption from members of this committee or from the public. After which, I will ask members of the committee to ask questions and/or make comments, and following that, I will ask members of the public, especially abutters, if interested and present or on Zoom, if present, to step to the podium to my front left, speak into the microphone, state your case, say who you are, and state your case without interruption from anyone else, and then we will proceed. So one important note before we get started. I have the game recorded tonight. So no spoiling. Anyone tempted to peek on your cell phone or answer cell calls relative to the score of the game, just remember Sergeant Schultz, I know nothing. All right, go Celtics. So with that, we will start with the first item on the agenda, which is 25-A051. It's to remove the sunroom and replace windows, the roof, sidewall, and garage doors at 20 Mill Lane. Thomas Moran is the owner. Starbuck Construction Services is the agent. Thomas, you are on now.
Sorry, that was a little early with me speaking earlier.
You're forgiven.
Go ahead, Thomas.
Basically, you can see the plans that we presented before you. We're talking about removing roof, sidewall, windows, and doors. There'll be an addition on the master behind the garage area. There'll be an addition going there, and all the exterior trim is also going to be replaced. The windows were going to be are proposed to be white clad Pella Lifestar style series with the 7/8 inch fixed muntins on all the windows. New garage doors. The sidewall was going to be just natural cedar sidewall shingles. The roof was going to be architectural weathered wood shingles. And the garage doors, for now, we're going to be painted white.
Is that it? Thomas, are you done?
Any other questions you have, I could answer whatever you'd like.
Okay, but you're done with your presentation.
Yeah.
Questions or comments from the committee?
Primary,
Well, so I have a
yeah.
couple of questions, if no one else does. So this house is difficult to see from Mill Lane,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. Are you increasing the size, the footprint of the house?
I am.
Can you give us a approximate idea of how big, how much bigger?
Yes, the master bedroom and bath area is 24 by 20, coming off the back of the garage. You can see that on the floor plan. And I had proposed to take off the existing sunroom that was there to put a foundation and then put the sunroom back on. But we've since found out it's a full foundation, so it's gonna look exactly like it shows on the plans, but that's no longer an addition, it's just remodeling it and making it look just like it shows on the plan.
So basically, you're squaring off the footprint
Yes,
on the corners, okay. And it won't be at all visible from Mill Lane, the new construction?
well, the back of the house, there may be, you have to be down far on Mill Lane to look back. The house goes down a pretty long driveway into the woods, and you can't see the two sides of the house or the front of the house from the street at all that I can see. And you just have a part of the house from the back you can see at a certain point on Mill Lane when you look up. It's mainly that middle section of the house that's the two-story part.
Okay, I have one other question. The application states that the house was built in 1900, is that correct?
No, that's a mistake. The house was built in 1977.
I was going to say, okay.
Yeah, I don't know why that shows up on the town website. I've already verified that with the building department. It was definitely built in 1977.
Okay.
New.
That makes more sense. I'm done. Any questions, other questions from the committee?
I was always used to provide existing condition drawings, or at least mark on the drawings what is actually new and what's existing. So since I wasn't able to go to the property, and I don't think there are any existing footprint drawings, I like what you've done. I just wish that there was inclusion of an existing conditions plan,
Thank you.
which may or may not be required, I'm not sure, but it would make it easier to understand what you're adding and what's there. Just a statement. Otherwise, I like it. Thank you.
Other questions or comments from the committee? Questions or comments from interested members of the public, especially abutters? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion on the application.
I make a motion that we vote on or accept application 25-A051.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And aye. So, you're all set. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is that mine?
That's yours, yeah.
What did you didn't do anything. It was you that knocked it over, not me. Oh.
The next item on the agenda is 25-A052. It's to relocate the addition to the rear of the house at 10 Nickerson Farm Way. Julie Dunnican is the owner, and Cape Home Designs, Inc. is the agent. And who do we have tonight?
The representatives.
Could you tell us more clearly, please?
The representatives.
Okay. All right. Tell us about the application.
So we had previously got approval for an addition off to the left side, which was pretty visible from the road. And just after pricing, we've decided to do a smaller addition off the back, which is very little seen from the road unless you're pretty far down the road looking into the backyard.
We did add on for a fence, approval for a fence as well, which is why I think we could have done an exempment, but with that fence, we wanted to come through here instead.
The intent for this addition is it's a living room addition off the back. It's like 18 by 18. It would have white cedar shingles and architectural asphalt roof to match existing. And the windows shown on the elevation that you guys should have would have the same grille styles as we plan to have.
Everything has been done as previously approved. It's just been relocated to the back of the property.
Okay. Are you done? Questions or comments from the committee?
Looks like you're going to lose your garage. Is that correct?
No, it was not a garage. We don't have one.
So the existing house doesn't have a garage?
No, nope.
Other
garage to
questions or
me.
comments from the committee?
No.
So as I believe I stated previously, Nickerson Farm Way is a cul-de-sac, which has a bearing on our decisions, not a heavily trafficked road at all. Any questions or comments from the public, especially abutters? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion on this application.
I move to approve application 25-A052.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And aye. So, as you may remember from last time, if you will come up and sign this document in case you change your mind again, you'll let us know. Okay. Thanks. Good luck with it. The next item on the agenda is 25-A053. It's to replace the roof, siding, trim, deck boards, doors, windows, and decorative posts, and paint the house white at 189 Center Street. Kelly McGill is the owner. Lewis Bay Builders is the agent.
Good evening. My name's Jake Stafford from Lewis Bay Builders, representing Kelly McGill at 189 Center Street for the replacement of the roof, decorative posts, some trim, siding, front door, and 4 windows, and to paint the house white.
Okay?
All right?
Thank you. So we've received some letters with regard to this application, which I will read now into the record. Subject 189 Center Street, Yarmouthport to Old Kings Highway Commission, Historic Commission. We are neighbors, Mike and Leslie Lettera, who own 179 Center Street, of Kelly McGill, owner of 189 Center Street. Our property is on the south side of 189 Center Street. Kelly McGill has shared the proposed improvements to the home. We are in total support of her plan to repair and revitalize the house. We believe her proposed asphalt architectural roof shingle, deck replacement material, and white color paint will protect the surrounding area's historic look and character. From our conversations with Kelly, we also believe she recognizes the importance of maintaining the charm and significance of Center Street in the Old Kings Highway Historic District, and it's signed Mike and Leslie Lettera, dated April 8th, 2025. April 22nd, 2025, to Old Kings Highway Committee, copied to Lisa Sherman, Robert Wilkins, Chair, Sarah Porter, Architect, Paul Grimble, Member, John Stewart, Alternate, Cindy Ecker, Vice Chair, Paula Morrison, Member, John Grady, Alternate, regarding application 25-A023, Kelly McGill, 189 Center Street, Yarmouthport. Dear Chairman Robert Wilkins and the Old Kings Highway Committee, I am writing to support my neighbor Kelly McGill's application 25-A023 to replace roof, siding, trim, deck boards, windows, doors, and deck posts, and paint her house located at 189 Center Street. I have been familiar with this property my entire life, as my grandparents owned the abutting home at 201 Center Street, and I own my home and live at 221 Center Street. It is heartening to see the property purchased by Ms. McGill, with her clear love for this historic home that has been a fixture in my life for many years. I fully support Ms. McGill's plan as presented in her application to improve the property, which has, over the past many years, fallen into disrepair. I understand there is concern about the roof shingles, gutters, and the paint color. First, regarding roof shingles, my grandfather, who lived next door, told me that the home had asphalt shingles from some point in the late 1940s until Granny Chalk bought the property from the Eldridges in 1968. Wood shingles are not common because they are not practical roofing material in this area. In addition, the roof shingles are barely visible from the street due to the trees that have grown in front of the house over the past 50 years. The roof material has no historic value, since the modern asphalt shingle makes an excellent alternative with similar appearance. Replacing wood shakes with asphalt roofing is a common accepted practice in the historic district. Second, replacing wood gutters with aluminum or fiberglass gutters that mimic the Boston pattern OG of a wood gutter is a common practice in our historic district. The difference cannot be discerned from the street, or in most cases from the ground looking up. Having had spent many summers maintaining the wooden gutters at my grandparents' house next door at 201 Center Street, I can personally attest that there is no aesthetic advantage that outweighs the practical performance of the non-wood alternatives available. Finally, regarding paint color, when the property was purchased by Hugh Hilliard from Mr. Granville Chalk in 1985, the home was white with dark green shutters and accents. In addition, Section 7 of the Old Kings Highway Bulletin, March 1st, 2022, based on the 1973 regulations, notes, quote, "The exterior color of any building structure within the district may be changed to white without the filing of an application for or the issuance of a certificate of appropriateness," end quote. Furthermore, the facts on the site, Old Kings Highway Historic District, Town of Yarmouth, Mass. Official website, say painting anything white does not require approval. Changing a color to white does not require approval. I appreciate your taking the time to read my letter and consider my endorsement of the plans for 189 Center Street in your decision-making process. Thank you very much. Very truly yours, Sean Greenow. Yarmouth Town Hall, South Yarmouth, dated April 29th, 2025. This is addressed to Lisa Sherman. Dear Lisa, I'm writing to the Old Kings Highway Historic District in support of our new neighbor, Kelly McGill. My wife, Carol, and I live at the house next door, 195 Center Street. We have lived there for the past 6 years and have always been friendly with our neighbors from the Hilliards to now Kelly. The last few years, while both Mr. and Mrs. Hilliard experienced failing health, I mowed their back field for them to keep their property looking nice. I know Kelly has been trying to remodel the house as it has been many years with declining maintenance and needs a lot of work. The bigger of the issues involves replacing a leaking roof, and I heard there are some issues about replacing the current wooden roof with asphalt shingles. I totally understand using asphalt as the cost is roughly 3 to 4 times more for wood shingles, especially now with the current tariff situation. I can't pretend to know the Old Kings Highway Historic District rule book on replacing roofs, but I've been driving from Yarmouthport to Hyannis for work along Route 6A for the past 40 years. Until last night, I have never even tried to look to see how many of the historic houses along the way have wood and how many have asphalt. But the truth is the vast majority are asphalt, with maybe 10 to 12 having wood shingle roofs. I am including some photos of this house from the early 1900s where it was painted white, so we have no objections as neighbors if Kelly wants to paint her house white. Not trying to be a nosy neighbor, I assure you. In fact, we have a very tight group of neighbors that all look out for and help each other out. We also understand how important it is to maintain historic homes and never allow non-conforming, non-historic homes to be built where they do not belong. I hope the committee will reconsider some of their objections and allow the work to be completed as requested. I know some of us neighbors plan to be there for the next meeting. Thanks for your time, Jim and Carol Connolly. And one more. May 8th, dear members of the Old Kings Highway Committee, I'm writing about the property of Kelly McGill on Center Street in Yarmouthport. I am a neighbor residing at 215 Center Street in Yarmouthport. I know she's applying to change the roof color of the house. I was good friends with the previous owners, and I am in contact with their son. His recollection is that the house was white when they bought it, and they decided to paint it yellow. I think Hugh put on the cedar roof, and that it was not original to the house. As a neighbor, I am very happy as the renovations have beautifully restored the property and the grounds. It is a magnificent property, but it had been deteriorating over recent years with the illnesses of the owners. I would like to say that I'm very much in favor of allowing the house to go back to the original color of white and allowing the asphalt roofing that many houses have now and have had in the past. Sincerely yours, Margot Greenow. Okay. So, a lot of support there. Any questions or comments from the committee?
Yes. I just want to clear up any confusion that might be out there as to the color of the house and the roof. From the town's files, I find that in 1991, the replacement of the rear L was approved with red cedar roofing shingles. That was 1991. In 1994, painting the house, Montgomery white 76 on the main house and peel green HC 121 on the trim was approved by Old Kings Highway. Montgomery white is the current color. So at this point in time, in terms of color, you are free to paint it the existing color or paint it white without any involvement of this committee. It's that simple. I went through this on my own house, which had been repainted different than the color that was approved. In 1994, I believe, 1999, the addition on the north side was approved to be constructed with red cedar shingles on the roof. So what was on the main house when, there's no record of it in the town files, but it's reasonable to assume that either it was red cedar when they did the first edition, or they changed it to red cedar sometime between the first and the second edition, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, because I think they probably did it all at once. So it has been red cedar for a number of years. That's without any comment on your application. It's just history.
Yeah, are you still planning or hoping to use the asphalt shingles?
Yes, we have,
And was that approved at the last meeting?
nothing was approved.
No, we tabled the application.
Okay, I can't remember.
So I brought 2 samples for you guys of the asphalt that we're proposing, if I could grab them.
Okay.
Meanwhile, any other questions or comments? So I have some comments. So there's very little doubt that the original roofing material in 1840 was cedar because asphalt wasn't available. Is this the certainteed weathered wood that you're showing us?
Yes.
Okay. I am currently in the process, I live in an 1820 era Cape house in the historic district on Wharf Lane. I am currently in the process of reshingling the rear of my roof, which is not visible at all from a public way, Wharf Lane. I'm choosing to use red cedar, which is probably stupid of me from a cost perspective. I cringe to think what this is going to cost me when it's all said and done. And I could put solar panels on that roof because it's not visible from 6A, and it would be highly efficient. It would be exempted by this committee, even if I, as I would be required to do, recuse myself from the deliberations. I'm not doing either, but this is not my house. And I've done some further thinking about the roofing material, and especially in light of the new legislation and eco considerations. One thing about the term asphalt with application to the roofing material that you presented, that's something of a misnomer. Those shingles are actually largely consisting of fiberglass clad with asphalt. Fiberglass is a green material. Asphalt is not, asphalt being a petroleum product. So that's a point in your favor. So I have come to the conclusion, especially with regard to, there's one other consideration regarding the Secretary of Interior standards, which this body has adopted in principle. Yes, it is true that the roof is, at least in my estimation, a character-defining feature of the house. However, one of the qualifiers in the Secretary of Interior standards is the question of reversibility. This roofing material, somewhere down the road, if for any reason it was decided to replace the roof with another material, is a reversible aspect of the house. That's an important consideration. And for those reasons, I am, and I, by the way, applaud you for your diligence on this application. You've done a lot of work on it, and I think you've moved in our direction to a degree that I find heartening. So I am much more comfortable with the application than I was when it was first presented. I do have a question about the gutters. What's the material that you're planning on using for the gutters?
So me and Kelly met out at the property last week, and we went over putting in fiberglass gutters for any elevation on the front. And then we looked at it further, and we're going to do all the right and left returns up to that front elevation. So the only part of the house that will have K-line aluminum gutters will be the rear facade. But everything else from the front of the house, off to the front right or off to the front left will be fiberglass to mimic traditional cedar.
Okay. Yeah, fiberglass is, as I've already said, an eco-friendly material. It's permanent. Once it's painted, it's indistinguishable from wood. So from a personal perspective, that pleases me as well. I have fiberglass gutters on my house, and I think I've made it pretty clear how fussy I am about antiquity and originality where it concerns my house. But as I said, and I'll say it again, this isn't my house. Any other questions or comments from the committee?
I have, thank you so much. I agree with, I'm fine with the gutters. I agree with the neighbor who said you really can't, at least I can't tell, and I have a pretty good eye. You can't tell from the street that those gutters are aluminum. However, I think what you're doing is great. I also think your idea, I like the idea of the asphalt. I initially objected to the color black, and you haven't proposed black, and so I'm fine with that decision also.
John, could you pass a sample down this way, please?
I think that the gray that you've added as one of your choices will reflect the light in a different way than the black would.
Could I make a comment?
Huh?
Could I make a quick comment on those shingles?
Yeah.
I think we'd want to do the pewter wood more than the wood. Our thoughts are that
Yeah.
with red cedar shingles, eventually they'll turn into like a silver.
Yeah.
And I think that would mimic an aged cedar roof more than a fake wooden asphalt roof.
Yeah. I have a feeling, even though I was the one who suggested weatherwood, I actually remembered that I wasn't always wild about that color.
So just to be
It's so brown.
perfectly clear, which one are we talking about precisely?
We would rather do the pewter wood, which is, it's
other sheet.
the grayish one. I'm sorry.
It's the other one, Bob.
It's the other.
Oh, it's the other board?
Yeah, pewter wood. 'Cause
Okay.
It has a more like silvery whitish tint, which aged cedar eventually will have. Instead of going with a fake wood, I feel like you can tell
Okay.
that it's fake wood.
Thank you for the clarification. Any other questions or comments from the committee? Questions or comments from abutters or other interested members of the public? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion on this application.
I vote in favor of the application.
You move.
I so move,
Okay.
thank you. I
All right.
so move, we approve, thank you, 25-8053.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor of approval of the application signify by saying aye.
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 And aye. So, congratulations. And
Guys,
all's well that ends well. So if you will sign this document in case you decide you want to change any aspect of the project, you'll let us know. After that,
it's mid-pitch pricing. Pink is cedar, and then the blue is asphalt.
okay.
Just so you can have like
Here, I'll give you back these.
a comparison on pricing.
Yeah, okay. Oh, did you sign? One of you? Okay.
Ah, brother, so move on with the papers. I can't keep them straight.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
No. Thank you.
Oh, man.
Thanks very much. Okay.
I think you. I'm just kidding. I'm just trying to. All right. Oops.
Is that coming back this way?
Oops. No, do you?
Lost in my shuffle.
Stay focused.
I've
We've only
already-
just begun.
Already lost the agenda. I think he took it.
Thank you. The next application on the agenda is 25-A054 to install 27 solar panels on the front, side, and rear roofs at 12 April Way. Monica Smith is the owner. Plug PV LLC is the agent.
Hi, I'm here. My name is William. I'm representative for Plug PV.
Thank you. Present.
Yeah, so like I said, my name is William. I'm here representing for Monica Smith. She's installing all of the panels on the garage, the front of the home, as well as the back of the home. The front of the home and the garage are all symmetrical. It's all full black in the front and the back. The only part that is not symmetrical is the back of the home where you cannot see from the street. And this is on a side street. It's almost on a dead end of part of that street. It's completely, you can't really see it. Nobody really drives down that street.
Is that it? You done, William?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Questions or comments from the committee? So I have a comment. Time marches on. Not so long ago, this application would have had difficulty passing this committee. I drove around the neighborhood. The only solar panels I saw was between that house and the one before it, before you get to the end of the street, looking through to the back roof of a house that's actually on Setauket. But we are under new guidelines now, and it is a cul-de-sac. That's quite true. So that's all I have to say with regard to this application. Are there any questions or comments from the public, especially abutters? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion on the application.
Oh, my God. Oh, sorry, I got a cramp. Oh. Oh, God. Excuse me.
We have a little bit of a hiatus here, so
I'm sorry.
take your time.
I get those too.
Sorry.
You okay?
Is it my turn?
We already had your turn. Yes, it's your turn.
I approve.
Are you making a motion?
Oh, making a motion, what a good idea. All right, sorry. So I approve application.
Okay, well, I think we have a motion to approve the application. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor of approval of the application signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And aye. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Everybody have a wonderful night.
You too. Is it?
Okay. The next item on the agenda is 25-A055. It's to replace a fence at 87 Eileen Street. Steve and Susan Mill are the owners. Nish Fencing is the agent.
Stephen Mill.
Susan. So we have an existing fence that's at the back, blocking off the backyard of the house. It's white picket. If you look at the pictures, it's always green. We're sick of it being green. We're sick of doing power washing and scraping and painting, and 2 months later having it green again. So what we're asking is to change it to a black aluminum fence, which doesn't rust, doesn't require painting, doesn't require power washing and scrubbing every year. We're using the same footprint that exists today. When my next door neighbor called me and said, I see you're replacing some fence. Now, they come over quite often. She goes, where is the fence? So it's not highly visible, and she walks by it all the time. And it's, most of it's behind side driveways, which you can see from the pictures that we submitted. We're just asking to change it. It is currently, all the posts are rotted. It's ready to fall down. We're trying to change to something that is easier to maintain.
Is that it? Okay, thank you. Questions or comments from the committee?
No comment, no questions. I'm fine with it, by the way.
I would just like to point out that the aluminum fence is still going to mildew. It's just not going to be as visible. And you will get lichen.
We'll probably
you will
still
get
have to
lichen
power.
attaching to it,
You
lichen
probably have to
attaching.
still power wash it once, or wash it with a hose or something.
So I think it's a handsome fence. My only thought about it is that kind of fence, to me, goes more with a colonial kind of a house. And this is a cape that
It's actually
usually,
a ranch.
yeah, I mean, it's neither here nor there, but that's just my opinion, but I think it's a nice fence, and I think it'll be fine.
Thank you.
So the question of how visible it is, I guess that's in the eye of the beholder. I drove by, and I think it's pretty visible. It's fairly extensive. I'm sympathetic to the maintenance issue. Home ownership is not for everyone, and my question is, did you consider any other materials besides aluminum?
Like what?
AZEK, for example?
Well, when we first put that fence up, you guys shot that down, so we weren't coming back with it again.
Yeah, it's a question of pick your poison, which is
And
the lesser of
also-
two evils.
And also the white, just, we have a lot of trees,
It's mildewy.
and the white just is always green.
Okay,
And, we
different.
try to maintain our house very nicely.
What color are you proposing for the aluminum fence? Would you consider any other colors? Green, for example?
Really, the house is gray with white trim, and some of the things I thought about were, like a natural fence that you didn't paint, so you didn't have to deal with the painting and the chipping off all the stuff. But I don't think a natural wood fence would look. I think the black would look better.
Just a
frankly.
question.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments from the committee? Questions or comments from abutters or other interested members of the public? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion on the application.
That I move, I'll learn it sometime. I move that we vote on the application number 25-8055.
We have a motion to approve.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And aye. Okay, your maintenance issues are soon over, so, at least insofar as the fence is concerned.
The house nonstop. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have to
Before you
sign
leave,
anything, or?
in case you decide you want to change the color, or change the material, or change the orientation, or the length, or anything else, you'll let us know.
This is the last fence.
All right, good luck with it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Aye, thank
Good night.
you.
The next item on the agenda is 25-A056. It's to install a pool fence and an outdoor shower enclosure at 25 Nicholas Drive. Lauren Gabrielle, hope I pronounced that correctly, and Steve DeForio are the owners. Shoreline Pools, Inc. is the agent. And who do we have this evening?
You have Lauren, and I think that Dylan is also on as well from Shoreline.
Yes, I'm here as well.
Great. Tell us about your application.
Excellent. Thank you for accepting your remote attendance. I just got off an airplane. So the proposed project we have a swimming pool that did not need historic approval. Originally didn't have a fence planned in there. However, we have since decided to add in a fence just to secure the project a little bit further. The proposed fence as outlined, we would like to use a black aluminum fence on the visible portions from Nicholas Drive. And then the property is actually quite large, so it has a extensive wooded portion that you can see from the photos provided, as well as if you went and visited the site. Those portions, given the size of the property, we would love to kind of blend a chain link fence within the woods so it disappears and doesn't become a pronounced fence structure. These portions would not be visible from the road, either on the Nicholas side or the 6A side. So we feel like this is the best fencing opportunity and material choice to, fit with the historic nature of the district and not interfere with anybody's quiet enjoyment.
This is a cul-de-sac, correct?
Yes, correct.
Are you done?
Yes.
Okay. Questions or comments from the committee? Questions or comments from abutters or other interested members of the public? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion on the application.
I move to approve application number 25-A056.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And aye. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The next item on the agenda is 25-A057. It's to install 26 solar panels on the front and rear roofs at 60 Bray Farm Road North. Mary Manning and John, is it Risian? Or?
That's how I pronounce it.
Oh, well, if that's the way you pronounce it, I'm going with that. Are the owners. My Generation Energy is the agent.
Hello, I'm Jessica. I'm with My Generation Energy, and we are proposing to install 26 solar panels on the front and rear roofs, as you just said. The only visible part is the front on the garage, and that is in a beautiful rectangular pattern, and it's all black on black. And yes, I'm done.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the committee?
I think given your location, the fact that it's bordering on conservation land, that nobody can see anything. The front is visible, but again, you're almost out of the district, so it's,
And your direct abutter to the east has very conspicuous solar panels on the front roof of the house. Other questions or comments from the committee?
No.
Questions or comments from abutters or other interested members of the public? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion on this application.
I move to approve application 25-A057.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And aye. So, congratulations. And as I'm sure you've been paying attention, before you leave, if you would sign this, in case you want to change anything, you'll let us know. You're welcome. Right there. Good luck with it.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is 25-A058. It's to replace 9 windows and 1 sliding patio door at 19 Union Street. Benjamin Sacco is the owner, and Pella Windows and Doors is the agent. Do we have either Benjamin or Pella
Yeah, there, looks like
present?
Paul's online. Hang on just a minute. There we go.
Okay. Are you ready to present?
I don't see anybody listed. Do you? No.
Technology. Can't live with it, can't live without it.
Hello, can you hear me? This is Jimmy.
Yes, perfect.
Sorry, thank you for waiting. I just got switched onto the phone just in time. Yes, so I am representing Benjamin Sacco. We're looking to do 9 windows for Pella Windows and Doors. These are vinyl exteriors, 6/6 everywhere. 7 will be replacement, only 2 full frame, which will take new exterior PVC trim that will be white. No changes to the opening. We'll do 1 sliding patio door in the back that will not have any grills at all. And on the back side, we will do an obscured glass for the bathroom window. And that's the entire project.
Okay, thank you. Other questions or comments from the committee?
No.
Questions or comments from abutters or other interested members of the public? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion on this application.
I make a motion that we vote to approve application 25-A058.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And aye.
Excellent, thank you so much.
You're welcome. The next item on the agenda is a tabled item. It's 25-D002. It's to demolish a barn at 169 Route 6A. Greg Belzikian is the owner, Christopher Weeks is the agent, and we need to untable this application.
I move to untable item 25-D002.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor of untabling 25-D002 signify by saying aye.
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 And aye. And now we will hear 25-D002.
Good evening. I'm going to attempt to keep my hands on the wheel and also address you, so hopefully I can get this right. My name is Pat Nickerson. Good evening. I'm an attorney with the law office of John W. Kenny, who's seated here to my right. Also with me is Greg Balzikian, the manager of GCB 169 Route 6A, LLC. Christopher Weeks, owner-operator of Weeks on the Cape, the builder for the project. Kurt Raber, Vice President and Principal Architect at Catalyst Architecture Interiors. And on the Zoom is Brian Walsh, the Managing Director of Consulting Structural Engineering, Inc., a professional engineer. Thank you for the courtesy of allowing our motion to continue the application to tonight's meeting. We've submitted a number of materials and reports and photographs, which I'll be displaying on the screen for you as we get going. And even though we're on different sides of the table, so to speak, I truly think we all want the same thing, which is to do something that's appropriate for the neighborhood and for the district, and something that, I'm paraphrasing, preserves and protects buildings, settings, and places so as to preserve and maintain the regional district as a contemporary landmark compatible with the historic, cultural, literary, and aesthetic tradition of Barnstable County. Mr. Balzikian purchased the property on August 30th, 2024. His intent was to renovate and improve the property, including the detached barn, which is the subject of tonight's presentation. Everything on the screen, I should add, has been included in your materials already. We made sure to upload everything so that it had a stamped copy on it to remove any doubt. So this is the front-facing elevation of the barn from 6A. The next photo is the other side facing the abutting property. This side faces the principal dwelling, and then the rear. In February of this year, Mr. Weeks submitted an application to lift the barn, and set it atop a new cure-in-place foundation. Through some additional emails with Ms. Sherman, that application was approved, and work began after Mr. Weeks obtained all appropriate building permits. Additional work on the inside of the structure was contemplated at that time. There was some interior demolition work done in anticipation of lifting the home. Also, Mr. Weeks intended to replace the first floor structural joists and install a new first floor subfloor. Unfortunately, as interior work was ongoing, it became apparent to Mr. Weeks that the structure was not in such a condition that renovation was feasible. He discovered, as detailed in his letter to this committee, several areas of concern, including but not limited to powder post beetles, which are similar to termites in their ability to destroy interior wood. He also observed a number of shoddy and unpermitted interior structural repairs done in such attempt to preserve the structure through previous ownership. It's important that there were no building permits pulled because none of the work that would have been completed would have passed any building inspection. Photographs of the interior showing a mixture of new wood are shown here, throughout. And a second application was filed on March 12th, 2025, seeking for permission to demolish the barn and construct a like-for-like barn in a similar placement, similar size, with similar features to give a similar appearance so as to preserve the streetscape appearance of the initial barn and also to preserve and protect the settings and places that are so important to this town and the district, particularly along Route 6A. The application was tabled. A site visit was held on April 22nd, where members of the committee were able to see the interior of the barn firsthand. Since that date, we've compiled additional reports from our structural engineer and our architect detailing the numerous and serious structural deficiencies within the barn and explaining that renovation is not feasible at this point. So we're asking for your permission to demolish the existing barn, and later we'll be asking for your permission to construct a like-for-like barn in accordance with the Zoning Board of Appeals decision, which is to move the barn essentially 4 inches closer to the principal house and 2 feet back from its current footprint. So it will be nearly in an identical location with nearly identical features as viewable from the road. It will be built up to the current building codes. It will be an improvement to the district, to neighboring property values, and by preserving the streetscape and the exterior aesthetic, we feel that we'll be preserving, protecting the settings and places within the district. If I could turn it over to Mr. Walsh. Brian, can you hear me? Oh. Let me minimize that.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, great. Are you able to view my screen share?
Yes.
Okay. Could you, while I pull up your report, could you summarize the findings of your report, take us through your analysis, particularly in reference to the photos in your report?
Okay.
Thank you.
So we went out and visited the property last week and walked through, all the structural systems that were visible. There was significant removal of the interior finishes so we could see most of the framing members and did have access into the crawl space. Effectively, what we have is, the shell of some original barn framing that's been reinforced by conventional lumber almost entirely throughout. There's wall reinforcements from the roof line down to the foundation, and the second floor is substantially reframed with new lumber. And the first floor has been reframed in pieces, but there's a lot of deteriorated lumber, obviously, in that first floor level. The first floor is unsafe due to damage and shoddy repairs. The second floor is unsafe in critical locations where the framing was, the new framing was put in and relied on the support of undersized framing of the original construction in order to support it, thereby reducing its capacity. And so in my opinion, you're looking to substantially reinforce all the floors, the walls, and the foundation. And at that point, it's nearly impossible to do that as a renovation. You really need to remove and reconstruct these systems in order to make them safe and to meet current codes for the proposed use.
Brian, does it appear to you that the sistering and the reinforcements that were done in a poor and shoddy manner were done under previous owners and not done since August 2024?
Correct, yeah, they look like they were done under previous owners and not recently.
And none of these deficiencies, or the vast majority of these deficiencies, would not have been visible but for removing the interior sheetrock to examine the framing components, is that right?
Correct. Yeah, none of that would have been visible if it was when it was finished.
The only other thing I'd like to add, Attorney John Kenny speaking. Pat mentioned that this has gone to the zoning board and been approved for a new location, like 4 inches and 2 feet difference. The only other thing I'd add is the exterior. It's hard to tell, but it appears as though some of the exterior siding has been replaced over time, particularly in the back. So I don't know how much of it has any historic value, other than, as Pat said, the setting and as it faces the street. And we're looking to replace that building. It just doesn't make sense economically or construction-wise to try and shore this up, pick it up, put a new foundation in and put it back down, and we're really not saving anything of historic value other than the barn, which we want to save. As Pat said earlier, the original plan was to pick this up and put a new foundation under it and save it. But once our client got into it, it became very apparent that that really wasn't feasible, and the best way to go is to demolish and build a new building, and that's why we're here, for asking for a certificate of approval to demolish and then the next hearing to replace. Be happy to answer any questions you may have.
And we're also happy to make Mr. Walsh, Mr. Raber, Mr. Weeks available for any questions as well.
Okay, so you're done with the preliminary portion of your presentation.
Yes.
All right, so as I am required, I will read letters that we have received with regard to this application. The first one is dated March the 5th, 2025, to the Yarmouth Old Kings Highway Historic District Committee. Copy, Lisa Sherman, Historic Office Administrator, Town Hall. Regarding the barn at 169 Route 6A, deteriorated conditions make renovation impossible. Dear Old Kings Highway members, Catalyst Architecture / Interiors, Inc. has reviewed the existing conditions uncovered after some explorations found that the old barn frame is in very poor condition and had been altered substantially in previous attempts to repair rot and settlement of the structure. Where most of the structure will need to be removed and replaced, the original plans for a subtle renovation are not physically or fiscally possible. Further, the thin fabric of the structure would need to be completely rebuilt to meet new energy code requirements triggered by the scope and cost, as well as the change in use form, commercial to residential use. Those last words I'm going to say parenthetically are key. Sincerely, Kurt E. Raber, Vice President, Principal Architect. Then our Office Administrator, Lisa Sherman, received an email communication from Richard, boy, I'm going to butcher this name, Chwastiak. Hope that's close. Letter of support for 169 Route 6A Yarmouthport Barn reconstruction. High importance. Dear Ms. Sherman, I hope this message finds you well. My name is Richard Cheswastek, oh boy, and I'm an abutter to the property located at 169 Route 6A in Yarmouthport, residing at 161 Route 6A. I'm writing to express my support for Mr. Greg Belzekian's application to the Old Kings Highway Committee regarding the proposed reconstruction of the barn on his property. Given the poor condition of the existing structure, I believe Mr. Belzekian's plan to replace the barn, maintaining the same footprint and height as the original, is a responsible and thoughtful approach. The project will not only enhance the appearance of the property, but will also contribute positively to the overall character of the neighborhood. I respectfully encourage the committee to approve Mr. Belzekian's request. Thank you for your time and consideration. Thank you. And he is Manager of External Affairs by title. Then on Monday, April 28th, previous letter was dated April 25, if I did not already so state. Also an email addressed to Lisa, our office administrator. This is Justin Manning. We own 179 Old Kings Highway. Just wanted to let you know that we fully support Belzekian's revitalization of 169 Route 6A. It helps the entire village with his capital improvements. Any questions, feel free to call me. Thank you. Justin J. Manning, President J.J. Manning Auctioneers. Also, April 25th, from Wesley Price, an email. Hi, Lisa. Please accept this email as an abutter's support for raising and replacing the barn at 169 Route 6A, Yarmouth. I reviewed the barn's condition. It has significant structural flaws that reveal piecemeal and shoddy workmanship over the years, including foundation failure, notched and cut support beams, sill rot. A replacement of the structure would maintain and enhance the aesthetic of the village and create a safer, more durable structure for future residents. Respectfully, Wesley D. Price, President of W.D. Price, Inc. We've received a wood destroying insect report on May 1st. I won't read it. It will be available, I believe, online, and also could be picked up at the Old Kings Highway office if anybody so desires. Then we received a letter dated May 2nd, Old Kings Highway Historical Committee regarding 169 Route 6A, Yarmouthport. Greetings. In my capacity as a licensed construction supervisor and as a resident of Yarmouthport, Mr. Belzekian asked me to review the structure at this address and lend my opinion as to the viability of saving and restoring the structure into a residential dwelling. Having spent a bit of time exploring the structure in crawl crawl space below, I believe it makes little sense to attempt such an effort. At the very minimum, the building will need to be lifted and a new foundation installed below. As part of that, one would most definitely replace the floor assembly as it is badly degraded and unsound. Once we accept this as obvious, which it is, I would then examine the remaining elements of the building with an eye toward what is necessarily going to be replaced, which would undoubtedly include all exterior trim, siding, windows, etc. I would then consider what structural elements within need to be replaced or supplemented, which is nearly all of it, given the requirements of the building and energy codes. Once all of this is considered, it begs the question, what is really remaining? The answer is not much. I recommend raising the building and approving a new structure that architecturally honors the history and aesthetic of the neighborhood. Sincerely, George Davis, President George Davis, Inc. We have received a comprehensive extension service report on powder post beetles. It's lengthy. I'm not going to read it. Once again, it will be available on the town's website or at the town office. On May 9th, we received a letter from Christopher Weeks, builder, owner, operator, Weeks on the Cape, 163 Airline Road, South Dennis. Old Kings Highway Historic Committee District, attention Robert Wilkins, Chair, via email. Dear Mr. Wilkinson, members of the Old Kings Highway Historic District Committee, my name is Christopher Weeks. I'm an owner and operator of Weeks on the Cape. My business specializes in renovating, remodeling, and constructing additions to residential and commercial buildings. I have 25-plus years of residential and commercial building experience, and I am familiar with the rules and procedures of the Old Kings Highway Historic District. In my professional experience, I have assisted in the restoration and renovation of historic barns and a historic windmill. I am writing in support of the application to demolish and rebuild the barn located at 169 Route 6A, Yarmouth Port, Mass. On February 6, 2025, I submitted an application to raise, lift, and rebuild the barn. After conversations with Lisa Sherman, the proposal was specified to raising, lifting the barn and constructing a new foundation underneath. Setting the barn onto a new foundation once complete, I estimated that approximately 12 to 15 inches of new foundation would be visible facing Route 6A. The application was approved administratively without a public hearing. A copy of the approved applications and emails are attached here to as Exhibit A. I anticipated completing interior work not within the purview of Old Kings Highway Historic District before raising the barn. The interior work included demolishing interior drywall, removing and installing a new first floor of truss joist I-beam or TJIs along with 3/4-inch advanced tech plywood. I commenced the interior demolition work after obtaining Old Kings Highway District approval and after obtaining appropriate permits from the building department. As interior demolition began and was ongoing, the exterior framework was revealed to be mostly relatively new wood in a highly questionable condition. I estimated that less than 10% of the interior frame was original wood and that most of the original wood could not be reused due to its deteriorating condition. I expressed to Mr. Belzekian that in my opinion it was not feasible to raise the barn, construct a new foundation and new first floor, and set the barn back onto the new foundation. I expressed that multiple issues were revealed by the interior demolition and that, in my opinion, demolition and rebuilding a like-for-like structure was the only feasible option at this point. Mr. Belzekian and Kurt Raber, our architect on the project, agreed with my assessment. An architectural plan set was drawn up by Mr. Raber showing a nearly 100% like-for-like new barn. A small change was made to the rear gable that is not visible from Route 6A. After the plans were completed, a pre-filing meeting was held within the building commission with the building commissioner of Yarmouth, Mark Grills, the secretary of the ZBA, and the secretary of the OKH. After the meeting, I filed formal applications to demolish and rebuild the barn. These applications were submitted on March 12th, 2025, and are included in your materials. At the Old Kings Highway Historic District Committee meeting on April 14th, 2025, and the chairman, Robert Wilkins, commented that the roof and sides of the barn looked, quote, straight, unquote, from afar, and that he and the Old Kings Highway Historic District Committee members wanted to see the barn in person to determine if it was salvageable. A site visit was held at the barn on April 22nd, 2025, and members of the Old Kings Highway Historic Committee toured the barn. I overheard Old Kings Highway Historic District Committee members comment that we had already done a lot of work with newer materials, that the roof and sides of the barn looked, quote, straight, unquote, and even though the barn had a lot of newer materials in the interior, it looked nice from the outside. I want to make clear for the record that I have not done any unauthorized work on the barn and that I have not added any new components to the interior of the barn during the interior demolition work. Additionally, the roof and sides of the barn are not, quote, straight, unquote. Upon hearing the Old Kings Highway Historic District Committee members' comments during the site visit, I used a laser level to demonstrate that the barn is far from level and square. I took pictures of the laser level in the barn, attached here to as Exhibit B. Many of the original components, less than 10% of the interior, cannot be reused. Finally, since the new proposed barn is nearly 100% like for like, with the exception of the rear gable that is not visible from Route 6A, the new barn will preserve the current aesthetic and streetscape while complying with current building and energy codes. Sincerely, Christopher Weeks. I'm not going to read the addendums. Once again, those are available for public scrutiny. There are pictures enclosed, all of which can be seen by the public if anyone so wishes. Likewise, we received a consulting structural engineering report addressed to me as chairman, with copied to Kurt Raber of Catalyst, and I'm not going to read that either. It's rather lengthy and technical and available for public scrutiny for anyone who wants to see it. And finally, we received a letter dated May 8th from Catalyst addressed to me as chairman. Mr. Wilkins, report on existing conditions at the barn. And I'm not going to read all of this. I will read the summation. But I'll start with Catalyst has revisited the property, the subject property, to review the condition of existing structure. We did so after the owner's contractor was able to remove the interior finishes and a minimal amount of thermal insulation to expose the remaining framing of the barn. I will start by saying we did not see what we thought we might see, as much of the framing of the building is relatively new. More specifically, we did not see much of the original post and beam in the barn, and the few members that exist today look to be replacement. The oldest posts and beams are rough sawn and not hand sawn, as the potential age of the structure might have suggested. Below, I will share more about each portion of the building, which he does so beginning with the foundation, the exterior walls, the first floor deck, the second floor deck, the roof, and the cupola. In conclusion, the barn needs much more than a new foundation. The majority of the wall, floor, and roof systems need full replacement. The building code will also impart many requirements on this project. Given that the work will exceed 50% of the area of the entire structure, the building code will consider this a reconstruction, and the current codes will apply to the new elements that are added. All of the new building frame elements will need to meet current code and must be compliant with current wind zone bracing requirements. The new energy code will also require substantial insulation that can no longer be accommodated within the old farm wall stud or roof rafter cavities. Catalyst is confident in the end that Mr. Belzekian and his contractor will build a replica of the barn that will look as handsome as the old barn did in its heyday. The new building will look the same, with the same siding, similar windows, and a faux barn door similar to the existing. It will be the same size, same height, but it will also be structurally sound and energy efficient. Finally, the new barn will provide a much-needed housing unit in the Yarmouth Port Village. Please call my office anytime with any questions. Let me read that last sentence again. Finally, the new barn will provide a much-needed housing unit in the Yarmouth Port Village. So that bears on the reuse consideration for the structure. Okay, gentlemen, would you like to continue, or would you like me to ask the committee for questions and
I
comments?
think we're ready for committee questions.
Okay. Are there questions or comments from the committee?
I think this is a great project. One question I have, and maybe it was answered when Bob read the last letter. In your statement, you said you were replacing things with nearly the like. Aside from the windows, what would be the nearly matching existing conditions?
Let me stop you there.
Okay.
Before we get into the next application,
The demolition.
let's focus on the demolition.
Okay, great, thank you.
I have a question. On the report from Mr. Walsh, it stated on several of the pages November of 2017.
I noticed that too.
I bet you did.
Oh, jeez. I'm sorry about that. You're right. My apologies. That's a typo.
Was that a Scribner's error?
Yes, it was.
Other questions or comments from the committee regarding this?
I do. It's clear that this building has suffered from many attempts to improve it during the years. And few of those made things any better. And the original timber frame construction is still there, but it's surrounded with so much add-ons that it's difficult to us, for the layperson anyway, to assess whether or not it's meaningful and what's holding it up. And much of the new wood that's present in there appears to be from interior fit-up and renovations that were done in the past. Some of it may have been attempts to correct structural problems. But it's a barn, and it was built as a barn. And it shows as a barn on the 1880 map of Yarmouthport. So it's been around for a while. And you're going through the town building file records and ZBA records. It just goes on and on and on with applications for this and that and the other thing on this property. So it's a morass to try and wade through it all. It would take me weeks to read all these permits and applications. So I think what we've got here is a property that is difficult to do anything with other than either put it back to being a barn or tear it down. So in terms of our position here, we're not charged with verifying economic advantage. That's not our purview. Ours is strictly architectural. Although it may be economically advisable to replace it rather than repair it. That ties into the question of what's the use going to be. And there have been several changes of use in the past. And now, according to the waiver, another change of use is proposed, which may or may not be a change of use when you go through the files of what's currently permitted there. So I don't know if you can put any clarity on this, but I'm not sure what we're looking at.
We're looking at a building that's going to fall down on its own soon, and hopefully in 145 years, from 1880 to 2025, maybe 140 years from now, there'll be a committee sitting here and talking about whether or not they should preserve the new building. And as far as the change of use is concerned, this was actually supposed to be used for residential purposes. There is, as Mr. Bilzekian said at the prior hearing, an illegal apartment in the main building. And he doesn't want to put the people out in the street, so he's trying to convert this, and the building commissioner is well aware of all of this. trying to put this back to the use it was approved to have recently, and then get that illegal apartment out of the main house.
So this had been approved for residential use previously.
That's correct.
All right.
Correct.
Yeah, we're in the unenviable position of playing catch-up here. And as you quite correctly stated, our options are not great. We can accept the demolition in preference to demolition by neglect, or having this procedure go on through appeal and maybe to court after that. But historically, I think it's worth pointing out that this was not built as a residence. This was built to house animals and/or possibly as a carriage barn for carriages and horses. So it's pretty obvious that it was never going to be suitable in the manner in which it was built for human habitation. So we are not allowed here to ally the two applications. We have to consider them independently. That's our charge, as defined by our commission's lawyer. So that's why I had to cut you off on your question. So are there any other comments or questions from the committee with regard to the demolition application? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, just in response to your demolition by neglect comment, I just want to point out, our client inherited this. The neglect wasn't done by our client.
No, I wasn't suggesting that.
I just wanted to clarify that.
You are the one who brought that up, so, and it is something that we are afflicted with in this town. We have lost a lot of historic barns. Very regrettably, barns are not always valued, and we are blessed with a large array of antique structures here on the Cape, and there's a propensity among a certain element of the population to take them for granted, especially barns. So I guess I could say I, in particular, am sensitive to that issue. But I recognize the practical realities here. And so I will ask if there are any other comments or questions from the committee. Are there any comments or questions from abutters or other interested members of the public? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion on the application.
I move that we approve application number 25-D002.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor of approval of the application signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, just a follow-up comment. I had a lengthy conversation, not lengthy, but a conversation with Attorney Wilson about the predicament that you're in with demo and rebuild. And his comment to me that stuck with me was, it's his recommendation that they be heard separately. It's not a requirement. And I said to him, I said, I really think that's the wrong way to go, because if you don't tie the two together, and probably shouldn't say this, but we could come in here and get approved to demo this barn. Now you approve the rebuild, and then we say, after the demo's done, we decided we're not going to go forward. I told Jim I thought you ought to tie them together, so you might want to push that feedback.
I have had this discussion
multiple
with
times.
Jim Wilson multiple times.
I had that discussion with Bob this morning.
I have great respect for Jim Wilson. He wrote the act. He's thoroughly conversant with it, and in general, when I have thought that I disagreed with him, I wound up thinking better of it. So, anyway, if one of you gentlemen would come up and sign this, in case you decide not to demolish the barn, you'll let us know.
We've noted that you're expressing intention to.
I'm sorry?
We've noted that you've expressed your intention to do the right thing on the next one.
Yes, but I just thought from a committee's point of view, I would rather tie them together and.
I would too, but that's not my choice.
And I've known Jim for 40 years, and he's my go-to guy on all those OKH issues. We have Kurt move up so you can talk about the new design.
Right now.
Sure.
All right. Next item on the agenda is 25-A031. It's to construct a barn at 169 Route 6A. Greg Belzekian is the owner. Christopher Weeks is the agent.
Good evening again. Record, my name is Patrick Nickerson, attorney from the law office of John W. Kenny. Seated next to me now is Kurt Raber, the architect on the project. He's going to be walking us through the proposed elevations and hopefully answer your questions about the new components and features. So just by way of reference, again, this is a photo of the front elevation on your screen facing the street. This elevation here is, with the kayak, is closer to the abutting property. This elevation here is closer to the primary dwelling. And this is the rear elevation. By way of comparison, our elevation plans are all shown together on the updated new plan sheets. So Kurt, could you take us through the proposed elevations and explain what's similar and what's different in the existing conditions?
Sure. Kurt Raber from Catalyst Architecture and Interiors in Yarmouthport. So we measured the building a couple times, but what we did is drawn a shell of the barn to match the existing one, and we noted that the windows in the front were kind of a three-part, 3 windows on the second floor, 1 double hung on either side of the kind of false barn door that's there now. The existing barn door in the front is a solid panel, and it's immobile. And then there's a stud wall inside of it. We do intend to reconstruct the front elevation to match with 5 double hung windows. We've changed the windows a little bit so that the lights of the simulated divided light windows are all of the similar proportion. So we've put an 8-light window, 8/8 window in the center. So we will have the faux barn door on the front, cased, and that doesn't have any hardware now, and we're not proposing to put any hardware on it. On the rear side of the building, there is an existing patio sliding door out to a small deck, and we will replace that with a new one in better condition. On the second floor rear, we've added 3 double hungs to mimic the front elevation. And previously, the windows on the rear were 2 awning-style windows that were way up high. They were about 6 feet off the floor on the second floor, so really impractical to use for any use. And the window on the driveway side, or the main property side, the proposed north window is in an existing bathroom, and the new window will be in a new bathroom. The biggest change is the cupola. Currently, the cupola has shutters. And we're proposing to build the cupola in the same size and style, but instead of shutters on 4 sides, we'd like to do a small 4-light window on each side, because Mr. Belzekian would like to put a small lantern up in that cupola. But that does have it's not a pyramidal roof. It is a gable roof over the cupola, so we'll reconstruct that in the same scale. The building will have the projecting rake boards with crown trim and gutters on 2 sides. So that's basically it.
Okay, you're all done? Okay, so there have been letters submitted with regard to this application, which I will now read into the record. Would someone kindly help me with the pronunciation of Richard's last name? Chwastiak. Is it Wastiak? Chostiak?
Our best guess is Cheswick. But
Cheswick?
We're not sure that's right either.
Okay, well, I'm glad no one else seems to know either. That makes me feel a little better, although I deeply apologize to Richard. Anyway, dear Ms. Sherman, this is dated April 25th. Letter of support for 169 Route 6A Yarmouthport Barn reconstruction. My name is Richard Cheswick, we're going to go with, and I am an abutter to the property located at 169 Route 6A in Yarmouthport, residing at 161 Route 6A. I'm writing to express my support for Mr. Greg Belzekian's application to the Old Kings Highway Committee regarding the proposed reconstruction of the barn on his property. Given the poor condition of the existing structure, I believe Mr. Belzekian's plan to replace the barn maintaining the same footprint and height as the original is a responsible and thoughtful approach. The project will not only enhance the appearance of the property, but will also contribute positively to the overall character of the neighborhood. I respectfully encourage the committee to approve Mr. Belzekian's request. Thank you for your time and consideration. Then we have an email that was received by Lisa Sherman, our office administrator, on April 28th. Lisa, this is Justin Manning. We own 179 Old Kings Highway. Just wanted to let you know that we fully support Belzekian's revitalization of 169 Route 6A. It helps out the entire village with his capital improvements. Any questions, feel free to call me. He gives his phone number. Thank you, sincerely, Justin J. Manning, J.J. Manning Auctioneers. And finally, fortunately, from Wesley Price, April 25th. Hi, Lisa. Please accept this email as an abutter's support of raising and replacing the barn at 169 Route 6A, Yarmouth. I reviewed the barn's condition. It has significant structural flaws that reveal piecemeal and shoddy workmanship over the year, including foundation failure, notched and cut support beams, sill rot. A replacement of the structure would maintain and enhance the aesthetic of the village and create a safer and more durable structure for future residents. Respectfully, Wesley D. Price. I believe I read that one previously with regard to the other application, but it bears on this one as well, in my opinion. Okay, so, gentlemen, are you ready for questions or comments from the committee?
Please.
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any?
I believe you answered my questions in your presentation.
I have a couple of questions or comments. First of all, the existing barn has wooden gutters, and you're proposing aluminum. Is it possible to do fiberglass?
Yes, it is possible, yes. Fiberglass. Mr. Weeks prefers to use the fiberglass.
Fiberglass?
Yeah.
That's correct.
Not vinyl, fiberglass.
Imitate
the cedar?
Yeah, it'd be the same profile as a wooden gutter.
Same profile as wooden, but carries more water, too.
So I have a email communication from a member of this committee who isn't present tonight due to injury, John Stewart. And his question is about, or concern is about the molding on the entablature. And he makes the observation it can be reproduced by making cutters for a machine called a wood shaper. And he's done that in the past. Are you familiar with this?
Yes.
Okay. All right, duly noted then. So, a little bit of concern based on past experience. We have, this committee has been promised replication exactly, faithfully, of a barn in the historic district. We were disappointed that the replication was not exactly as presented. There were significant details of the barn that were not replicated. So there's a little natural hesitation, I guess, in my mind regarding that. However, I will balance that by saying, and I congratulate Mr. Belzikian on this, his restoration work on the house has been spot on. I've been very impressed as I've watched the progress of what he's done to replicate what had been, what was existing and what was in deteriorating condition. So I'm hopeful that that we, if we approve this application, that we will see a faithful point-for-point replica of what will be lost now.
As Mr. Belzikian stated at the last meeting, he's local. He's not trying to put one over on anybody. He's, I think, handled the process beginning back in February with Mr. Weeks to the present faithfully, dutifully, and I think you can only expect that to continue with respect to the rebuild. Also.
So one of my concerns as a preservationist, and based on my observation during the site visit, in addition to what I read in Mr. Stewart's email about a significant architectural detail of the structure, the fenestration of the building. Most of the fenestration that currently exists on that building, by my observation, is not period. It's all of it, from what I could see, has been replaced at one point or another. There are potentially resources for finding evidence of what the original fenestration looked like. It was going to take some digging. Charlie, help me, John.
Charlie Clark?
Charlie Clark. You may be familiar with him, Greg. Has a treasure trove of some 2,000 glass plate negatives, photographs of structures, a substantial portion of which are in the historic district in Yarmouthport. And he could be tapped into as a resource to try to, he may have a glass plate negative dating from the 19th century showing the barn and or as the case may be, carriage house. HSOY might be a resource as well for historic photographs. So knowing of you want to say something? Go ahead.
I had Bob Kelly, Greg Bilazikian, the owner of 169. I had Bob Kelly from the Historical Society of Yarmouth do a whole study on the property and has produced every photo and deed that he has. He has the maps from 1880 and 1910 that show the original structure, but there are no photos. He has a whole book of all the sea captains' homes. I'm donating plaques to him in reciprocation for his efforts. He will do a little more work, but he had nothing to offer at the time. I will speak with Mr. Clark when Hallett's opens for the season.
Are you on good terms with Charlie Clark?
When Hallett's opens for the season and supports Yarmouthport on a day-in, day-out basis, I'll be happy to
Okay,
support
great,
him back.
great. Thank you for that. Yeah, it may be a long shot, but with my then partner Suzanne, I bought my house in Yarmouthport after a year searching for one that hadn't been ruined on the inside from a preservation perspective, on Wharf Lane, and about 3 months after I bought the house, a lady appeared at the door, just said, "I have an old photograph of your house. Would you like to have it?" And naturally I said yes. And she presented me with this wonderful photograph of my house that dates from about, I would say, 1910, based on the people pictured in the photograph. And Martha White, who lived across the street and was then nearly 90, who grew up in the house across the street, was able to identify for me every person in the photograph. Oh, well, that's Lizzie Hallett, third owner of the house. I happen to know every owner of the house from the first one, Captain Ed Hallett. That's her son, Norman. Lizzie's wearing mutton chop sleeves. Norman's in knickers with a nice little cap. She didn't know the name of Norman's dog, but otherwise she was able to identify everybody. You just never know where these documents, these photographic documents, might turn up. I checked Macris. Unfortunately, the only picture in Macris dates from around the 1960s, based on the automobiles in the driveway, and it just shows a little corner of the barn. So I would definitely encourage you to keep at it, keep at the research, and I personally am certainly to help in that if I can in any way. So, any other questions or comments from the committee?
So I just, in the letter from Richard Cheswick, he said you're going to build on the same footprint, and you said something, it was either 4 inches or 4 feet it was going to move. Inches? Barely negligible.
4 inches from the property line and 2 feet back from where it is presently.
Okay.
The shift, 2 shifts. 4 inches one way, 2 feet the other way.
And 2 feet forward or back?
Back.
Back. Okay. All right.
The faux front door. So you're going to make that appear as though it's an actual. Is that going to be on rollers?
It doesn't have any rollers now. It just has kind of a flat casing around it.
It would certainly
So you're
enhance it.
speculating that it originally had a door there that,
Maybe 2 that swung in, but now it looks to be one solid panel that's immobile. We thought about adding a little, overhang over it, very shallow, about 4 inches. Something like that might have hid a sliding hardware or something at the time, but we could add a little bit of a more decorative trim over that door. It could have a pair of handles, it could have hinges added to it, but it will be, stable, static.
okay, all right.
There's living space behind the.
Yes, yeah.
Well, I appreciate the level of sensitivity that's going into this. I think that makes me rest easier about this.
And we all want that.
Yeah.
I have one more question. Windows. What are we looking at for windows here? We typically on new construction, this potentially is. We see lots of detail on windows in terms of divided lights, true divided light,
This would be the Anderson simulated divided light.
simulated.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's between the glass?
So it has a grill inside and out, and then it has a solid member in between the glass so that it doesn't.
This
look.
architectural series you're talking about?
That was the 400 series.
All right. Any other questions or comments from the committee? Questions or comments from abutters or other interested members of the public? All right, I will entertain a motion on this application.
I make a motion that we approve application number 25A031.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Before I call the vote, I'm going to ask if there's any further discussion about this, because I have one suggestion to make with regard to the application. I think I would breathe easier if we were to specify in the application something to the effect that the reconstruction will be as faithful as is practical to the original structure, insofar as we know what the original structure was in terms of scale, dimensions, proportions, and most importantly, details, including all the decorative trim and the fenestration. Just so that we have a record that we all mutually understand each other as to what our expectations from this committee is.
If they want to modify the motion, they can't, they have to re-establish the motion. We just would like you to modify the motion or...
I would like, yes, we could call that an amendment to the motion, that we would move to approve conditional on those considerations. And whoever wants to be the scribe to write this up. Don't look at Lisa.
Lisa,
No, it's usually a member of the committee who writes it up. John?
I can attempt to. Do you want to?
I feel I've done my work so far, so. All right. So, you gentlemen all understand the motion? Okay. So, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor of approval of the application as amended, signify by saying aye.
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 And aye. Well, we got there. I'm excited about this. I'm really very optimistic. And thank you, Mr. Belzekian.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Have a nice evening.
So don't forget, you have to sign, one of you has to sign this. In case you decide you're going to change this in any
Tongue is
way.
supposed to be great for cramps.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Put a little cinnamon under your tongue. It's supposed to be, take away cramps.
Oh, my God.
There's some stuff that runs, that my wife gets me all the time.
I just discovered a platelet problem. They put me on a new med. I've had cramps, terrible. They cripple me with that med.
Cinnamon, nutmeg.
I'll give it a shot.
But research on.
When it's happening or just to prevent it?
As soon as you get it, you put it underneath your tongue.
Cinnamon.
It's supposed to take it away.
All right, I'm going to go with it because
The other
I'm
thing
telling
is,
you.
Whatever leg is cramping, put all your weight on it, stand on one leg.
It's so bad I can't even get out of bed or stand up. You saw how difficult it was. It's a nightmare.
My wife's that way, she wakes me up.
God bless her. She has my sympathy.
Good luck with that.
Thanks very much.
John's busy writing.
Yes, I know, it's going to take a while.
You're welcome.
Okay, good, I'll come over in a minute. Let me get this signed before I
Well, these are fairly recent, but
Yeah, but I have to say for
just take a break and sign
and I
that,
have found
and
that
then I
nothing
can put
works.
that
well, you
together.
said cinnamon.
I've never done the cinnamon under my tongue.
I'll try it.
Yeah, I have to say though, it's really interesting.
To Paula.
Better not say anything, but I haven't experienced cramps the way I used to. It's been my whole
Oh,
life.
these are fairly new for me.
Oh,
Thanks,
it's
Robert.
It's dreadful.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we got here?
Well, you were too fast for me.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Faithful reproduction of the barn as it existed. Architectural features.
Oh, good, Lisa. Wow.
I'm not sure I caught it all. Gist of what you
Specify
said.
the reconstruction as faithful as practicable to the original structure in scale, dimension, details, decorative trim, and fenestration.
That's good.
Is that everything?
Good.
That's
Okay, well, we'll use yours. Good work, Lisa.
Good work. I'm
God
off the
bless
hook.
you. I mean,
Was
what would we
that
do without
Lisa's?
Lisa? All right.
She runs fast.
Thank you for your patience. Okay.
All right.
Did any of you know how to pronounce Richard's last name?
To me, it looks like Chisliak.
I would have bailed you out.
Twisliak.
It's, what is it, a Polish name? Sounds like a Polish name.
Be safe and say Eastern European. All right, what's this? Freedom.
All right.
Okay. All right, so the next item on the agenda is a tabled item. It's 25-A048. It's to construct a protective shelter for a smoker at 938 Route 6A. Sam, is it Bernard or Barnard? Or Bernard? Bernard is the owner.
So apparently this isn't he. Okay. Well, I don't even know if
Well,
he's,
Sam,
he doesn't seem like he's online.
are we going to have to table this once again? Well, let's give it a shot and table it until the end of the meeting, and maybe he will get on. So I'll entertain a motion to table 24-A048 until the end of the meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor of tabling 25-A048 until the end of the meeting, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And aye. Now, we will hear 25-A050. It's to construct a new single-family dwelling at 99 Wharf Lane. Richard and Cindy Schickler are the owners. Seaview Builders is the agent.
Is this the wrong set?
Good evening. Good evening, committee chairman and fellow committee members. We have taken your concerns from the previous session into consideration in collaboration with the architect, the owners of the property, and our team. We worked together towards tastefully addressing each of those issues. With your permission, I would like to read a letter from the homeowners explaining our approach to addressing your initial concerns.
You may, I was going to, but you're welcome to do it instead.
Mr. Chairman, can you untable the application?
Oh, thank you. I thought we did that. Sorry. Okay, we need to untable 25-A050.
One table, 25-A050.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor of untabling? Thank you. All right, an aye. And now we will hear 25-A050. Thank you, Lisa.
Figured you read enough letters in the last session, so I'll take over for you on this. So this is from the homeowners, Rich and Cindy. We appreciate the feedback provided by the Old Kings Highway Committee, and we have modified the home plans accordingly. The first item we addressed, the front of the house was a bit monolithic. So in response, we incorporated an overhang over the bottom windows with an open trellis type design. Number two, the left side of the house was a bit boring compared to the rest of the perspective renderings, especially since this side of the house would be what most would see when driving down Wharf Lane. In response, we added a second window to the first floor bedroom and incorporated the same open trellis style overhang that was used on the front of the house over the bedroom windows. We also changed the overhang over the side door to the stone patio from an enclosed overhang to open trellis style design. We would also like to note, we initially considered adding a trellis over the entire stone patio, but after discussing this with, they wrote zoning board, but I actually talked to Tim Sears about this. We would need to seek a variance because it's within the setback and would be considered a structure and not likely to be achieved. Thank you, Rich and Cindy Schickler.
Do you have anything to add?
I can give you a quick rundown on the changes you may want to look for in those plans. In A201, that would be the front overhang. And when you're ready, I'll tell you the other pages to look at addressing the issues.
I have the large format images for any of the committee members who would like to have them. I've already looked at these, so
okay.
I'm happy to pass them along.
Well,
It's right here.
yeah, we've got
Okay.
it.
Do you want to look at any of these?
I'm good.
Okay.
Good. So A202 shows the side overhangs over the patio and 2 windows. And then A203, you can see both the left and front perspective. I think the front left perspective was the point of concern in the last session.
I'm wondering why you've gone from, when we looked at these overhangs at the last meeting,
Right.
which show on the side, on the second level, you've gone to lattice on the first level on most of the overhangs. I didn't remember seeing lattice overhangs on the previous application.
There was a picture that the homeowner submitted to Lisa. I'm not sure if it was in time for the presentation, but I do have it here if you'd like to see it.
I mean, to be honest, I prefer the non-lattice overhangs, but that's just my opinion, and if others disagree, then so be it. But I think it detracts from the style of the house, I think. I think a regular overhang, as is incorporated in other areas, which is what I referred to when I mentioned it, I think that makes a nicer look. But I don't know.
Where are you, could you show me where, about?
Right here, you see this? They added that.
Oh,
Now,
right.
most of the overhangs that I don't remember any lattice overhangs on the previous pictures. All I remember seeing are these roof overhangs, roof things. Now I see them here and here, and I just don't think they're at the lattice.
You're talking about solid rather than,
Yes, these
let's call
things,
it perforated.
I don't think they look as
All right,
classic
yeah.
as the others.
Hi, this is, thank you for the comments. This is Richard Schickler, if you
Yeah.
can hear me. I appreciate the opportunity to review this with you. You know, Maya, it may be helpful to share with the committee the picture of what that open style overhang looks like on an existing home out on Nantucket through Hutker Architects. Again, we were trying to respond to the comments that were provided at the last meeting that the front of the house was a bit monolithic and the side was a bit boring. And we felt that by incorporating some overhang over the front windows and then incorporating them on the side would be satisfactory to the committee. So directly to your comments on the first rendering, we did not have any overhang over the front windows, nor did we have The only overhang that we had was a solid overhang over the side door leading to the patio. I don't think that we would be adverse to consider closing up those.
Well,
those
before
overhangs
you,
a bit.
let me say, I don't agree with Paul. So I think that, especially on the front facade, that expanse of roof, let's call it, if it were to be solid, would be heavy. I like, well, we're not supposed to use subjective terms. I think that the lattice overhangs are aesthetically pleasing. Let me put it that way.
Paula, would you mind if I?
It conveys a lightness to the facade that would, I think it counteracts the monolithic aspect, whereas a solid roof over it, especially given that length, over the entire front gable of that. How does our architect feel about the lattice issue versus solid?
One is, well, I definitely wouldn't like solid. One is, I don't know that it's intruding on the setback, right? So I'm wondering if the
I
building.
don't think that would be an issue.
You don't think so?
No, it's not our purview anyway, but.
Well, I know it's not our purview, but I'm just wondering. I'm ambivalent about it. I'm wondering if you could deal with that by doing something about the trim above the windows. For me, that would be more, well, I like that better. I can't say why. But can I ask another question before?
Sure.
Are these casement windows? They're drawn like they're casement windows. Is that?
5 windows across the front you're talking about?
Yeah, there's no
Yes.
thickening of the cross.
We do have casement windows proposed.
Did you know that? I
The windows across the front are casement
They're
windows?
all casement windows everywhere. Right?
I don't think that we would be adverse to double hung, so I think that, we just went with casement, put that on the application. We thought that might be a nice feature to it.
Was it for ventilation? Was it for practical considerations that you wanted casement windows?
We got accustomed to them in our home in South Carolina, so we like the look and feel. We've had our fair share of casement windows in the past, so I just think it was more a personal preference. But again, if double hungs were important, we love those as well. So that's one of those areas that we would be okay with either or.
I'm frankly indifferent to the issue of casement versus double hung, but that's me.
Yeah, I'm not.
I don't want to nitpick on this. To my way of thinking, the overhangs satisfy, as you suggested in your letter, satisfy the concerns that I and specifically John Stewart had at the last meeting. I think it's a lovely house, and it, in terms of our charge, which is to judge by appropriateness and setting, it fits the setting. It harmonizes with the surrounding architecture. I could argue that it is more pleasing than some in the neighborhood. I have no problem with the application as presented.
Can I say a little bit more about?
We all can, sure.
I disagree about the windows. I would actually prefer, in this particular case, I would prefer double hungs, or the window that a casement window that simulates a double hung. That's what I would prefer. I am ambivalent about the overhang. I certainly wouldn't want to see it solid, for sure. But to me, it all seems a little fussy. That's me, obviously.
Do you think it's preferable with the overhang to nothing?
I think what I originally suggested was to do some, beef up the trim above the windows would be, for me, more pleasing.
I disagree with that. Yeah. I think, and to be honest, the lattice overhang, it's a house that's on the water. I think if this house were on 6A, it would be totally out of place, but it's not on 6A, it's down by the water. And that kind of gives it, I think, more of a summery, breezy feel, the lattice work. So I think it definitely breaks up the front of the house, which was the main objective. And I really don't have an opinion more than I stated, but I think this is a fine answer to it, so I'm okay. It almost looks like an awning.
I think that may be the intent,
The whole point.
yeah.
So anyway, I think that issue is fine. I'm not,
John, how do you feel?
I'm not sure that, I think it's the best available solution that we've seen.
what did you say, John?
It's better than solid. I like the lattice.
And better than nothing.
And better than, absolutely. I think it
Yeah,
makes,
we don't want to, even as tempting as it might be, we don't want to fall into the trap of designing the house. The house is your design, and the client's design. So we can, as we did previously and as we're doing now, we can make some minor modification suggestions, but we're not going to make wholesale change suggestions. So anyway, are we ready to move?
I am.
All right, I'll entertain a motion on the application.
I move to approve.
Is there a second?
second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And aye. All right, congratulations to both of you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank
You're
you very
welcome.
much.
All right.
So, if you will sign the document, in case you have a change of heart about anything. That's the correct date, yes.
We've tried to carefully take those, ones from last meeting.
I think.
You did a good job.
I think it's going to be nice. It's going to be a nice house.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good night.
Lisa, thanks for everything.
Yep, no problem.
All good?
Who is that?
No, I'm giving it all to her.
That Strickler, who is that? On the,
I've been keeping them because I can use.
I don't think it's our guy.
It's going to end up getting hers.
Two people, and he's not two
We'll
people.
find out in a minute.
Lisa, do you know what that name is up there? On the,
My husband.
It's
Give
her
him Lisa.
husband.
okay then. Yeah, I think this guy is not going to be here.
Hey,
So we'll retable it?
well, let's get this thing signed, and then one step at a time.
Still looking first. Still looking for Sam, huh?
Oh, here, I have a pen.
Wait, who's signing what? Do you want,
The application we just improved.
you've got it.
Is this it?
Is that it?
Somebody's pen on that end isn't
I could
working
have,
well.
maybe it's me. Okay, sorry.
It happens at the end of a long meeting.
Jeez.
It happens. I was doing so well, too.
You've been doing great. So you know that project about the smoker? I I didn't realize it was a smoker.
Hasn't been heard
for
yet,
food.
so we gotta, let's see if
know.
he's here. So-
No, I thought it was built for people to smoke.
Oh.
Honest to God.
Yeah, but it's not, there's nothing there where a smoker would,
All right, so let's see if we can wrap this up. So we need to untable 25-A048 to construct a protective shelter for a smoker, not people who smoke, at 938 Route 6A. Do I hear a motion to
all right, I
untable?
move to untable 25-A048, and now we can retable it.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor of untabling the smoker application signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And aye. All right, we will hear 25-A048 if Sam Bernard is here. And I have a feeling he isn't.
I think he gave up on us.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I will entertain a motion to table 25-A048 until the next meeting.
I move to table application 25A048 till the next meeting.
I second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we need to approve the minutes of the April 28th hearing.
I wasn't here. Do I vote on them anyway?
Probably better not to. You don't need to. We have a quorum without it, so. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor of approval of the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye. Oh,
I'm going to say 3 ayes and 1 abstention. Okay. The next meeting is May 28th, 2025. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
I want to stay longer.
Aye.
We are adjourned.